Welcome to Taxpayer Alert. I'm Al Segalla. I'll be your host this session, and I'm also president of the Calaveras County Taxpayer Association. And we have excellent guests. And this time, it's no exception. We have Steve Fairchild, who's a businessman. He owns Mooney Caverns and a number of other facilities in the county. He's brought about a lot of money coming to our county, bringing people in, visitors in from all over the world and Europe. It's just incredible. Well, anyway, Steve, welcome to Taxpayer Alert.
Yeah, Al, good to see you again.
Yeah. There's so many things that you're an expert at. We only have 30 minutes.
Oh, we're not going to be able to do this.
We're going Well,
I'll keep it short.
Yeah,
to the point.
I think probably the most important thing right now is the economy. And the economy really blossoms when business people are exceptional and successful, and they bring money and people into the county. And you're probably the leader of the pack when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about marketing that you've done that brought people into the county.
Oh, that has gone through an evolution, of course. We do an awful lot of the media now. It's huge, and we can reach thousands of people with YouTubes and all that. It's quite a bit different. We used to just print up a whole bunch of brochures and distribute them out. And I came up with the equation that the brochure drops in value with a square of the distance from where you're at, try to get it all down to math. And I think we did pretty good, but it is changing. Media is just totally changing, and I don't think it's worth, for instance, advertising on television anymore. Because everybody's on all the media things. I can't name them all, but I've got an expert who does all that. But it is really paying off, and because we ask them, how did you find out about us? And we keep track of that. And it's the media now. It's called the popular media or whatever it is.
Well, you got very interesting billboards.
Yeah.
For your zip lines.
Yeah, photographs on them. And that's amazing. They can make photographs that big. I thought they were, but they do really show up. And all of that stuff helps. And none of it does it by itself, but altogether it's a pretty good package. And, of course, we have also the other counties. We have California Caverns and Mooney Cavern in this county. And in Amador County, we have Black Chasm Cavern. And we tie it all together, and we try to get them all to go from one to another, take the whole route. And many of them do. So
when they go back to Europe, they have no money left?
Well, that's the plan, yeah. Just enough to get on the plane, yeah. But we do have quite a large number of people from other countries. There have been entire tours of 40 or 50 people where the native language was not English with anybody. And you walk through the parking lot and you hear all these different languages. In fact, I've got a newspaper article that a lady sent me from Sweden with her picture doing the rappel. And she was in the newspapers in Sweden. This adventuresome lady went to California and did this cave thing,
All right.
And we got people from Sweden. It went up in numbers. So that newspaper article worked over there. And the world as it becomes internationalized is going to be quite something as long as we can control some of the problems. But
I understand the entertainment industry worldwide is worth $206 trillion. Is that true?
Yeah, and probably higher than that because they don't catch everything. My guess it's more like 300 trillion.
Wow.
Because I estimated what I couldn't find, and I know what's going on. For instance, we're not getting data from Bahrain and Russia and stuff like that. They're also in this industry,
right?
And I can't get their numbers. So yeah, it's huge, and it is by far the largest dollar-wise or money-wise enterprise on this planet. It beats the space station. It beats the military. Everything is huge and getting bigger. And you think about it, what happens when people, we have our machines doing all the work, or most of it, you got to find something to do. It's entertainment. And entertain means to think about something with your brain.
Right.
It's not like music. Entertain means thinking about something, engaging your brain, whether it's music, movies, writing, amusement park rides, rappels, all that stuff is entertainment. And that's when we have machines doing everything for us. That's the only thing left for us to do is go and have a good time. Maybe not in my lifetime, but it's happening very, very quickly. So,
well,
and we need to get our share of that.
Yeah.
What I like is the fact that they bring money up here, they spend it here.
Right.
That's money that came from someplace else.
Right.
And the employees get some of it, and the tax people get some of it, and that's money coming in. Money inside the county that just churns doesn't do that.
Right.
Money coming from someplace else is what we're after.
Like transfusion.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and just fresh blood. Yeah, and I think that is the future of Calaveras County. We've got to make sure that we're really a nice place to visit,
right.
That we don't do mean things to them. Maybe we need to think about lowering the TOT. I don't know, but we need to do things that make them feel welcome.
Yeah.
More directional signs, and the locals, when they're asked, should have a good list of what there is to do. Fortunately, we do. I've had visitors come in and they say, yeah, we could ask what there was to do. The first thing out of their mouth was Moaning Cave. So
right.
I guess I'm doing something right.
What do you think? What part of the income that comes into our county comes from the entertainment industry? Do you have a grip on that, or how much money?
Yeah, that was there's that. What is the name of that company that does the
survey?
Yeah, they do a survey, and I checked them. I can't remember the Dunyan, something I can't remember. Young Rag, I don't know, something like that. And they do it every year. They just go by the sales tax. Period. They don't look at anything else.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the county. They get a pat on. So I went out. That was when I was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I said that can't be right. I mean, I know 3 businesses that are that much. There's nothing else in the county. So I went out and did a survey, and I figured Dean Runyon were probably 20%. So it was 5 times what they said it was.
Wow,
that's serious. Because it'll give you from year to year, but it won't tell you the actual amount. And I think whatever Dean Young says, it's about 5 times that, maybe more now, because it's just we also, of course, we have a lot of people who live up here. Like when I'm taking people up to the zip line, about 10 or 20% of them are people that have cabins up here, or visiting people with cabins up there.
Right.
It all comes together.
Yeah.
And well, you get up here, we're in this cabin, and it's got nice trees and stuff. What are we going to do? Do something exciting. Let's go down and do the zip line, or the rappel, or the adventure tour, or something like that.
Well, I went on your zip line. I'm 76 years old, and I had fun.
Well,
so,
okay.
If any of the people watching this program, if you're 76 years old, you can do it.
Well, I can tell you can just keep doing it, because the lady that lived down the street from us was 96 when she did it.
96 years old?
96.
Wow.
She holds the record for the oldest zipper.
Did you get her picture?
She did, yeah. She did it twice. She loved it.
Oh.
Yahoo! Little tiny short lady from Hungary. She went through the Second World War. She had some interesting stories, but yeah. So she still holds the record.
One of the things about our economy is people being welcome when they come here, and that has to do with whether they can build and they can have a business without being overregulated. And so our Taxpayer Association is really concerned about that.
Yeah.
And we try to make the general plan more freedom-friendly, which means that if you come here and you want to build something and you don't hurt your neighbors, you ought to be allowed to do it.
Without unreasonably affecting your neighbors.
Right.
How little is everybody's got to move
breathe
over.
in the same air.
Everybody's got to move over a little bit.
Yeah.
But that is always a problem. And of course, you have the nobody don't want any visitors to come here at all.
Right.
It's just a nuisance to them, and I don't know how you deal with that. But I think the more tourism activities we get, the more people will come, and the more people I think will it'll crowd them a little bit. They're on the roads,
Right.
But it's the business of the future.
Yeah.
Maybe these people are older or retired or something, or they're going to get replaced by somebody who's in the entertainment business, and I mean that broadly, because that's clean to be the business.
Yeah.
Maybe not my lifetime.
Well, they have the Indians with the gambling. That's entertainment.
Yeah.
They're kind of prosperous.
Yeah, they do. Actually, what used to be the number one thing that Europeans asked to see when they came to California was an Indian village. Well, now the casinos. See, so things
Not exactly a teepee.
but that's the America West that they're looking for.
Yeah.
It's the Indians. Well, they're kind of hidden back in the hills and making money on gambling, but that's what they ask. That's the number one thing they ask for. They want to go visit an Indian village. And I could build one, but it's like, well, do you really want to do that?
Now, I understand that you have many interests besides economics and business. You're also interested in geology and climatology, and you had some experiences in your cave going back over the centuries and many years.
Yeah, 100,000 years, some of it may be older. What's interesting is there's two kinds of oxygen, believe it or not. There's one that's heavier than the other one. Oxygen 16 is what we have in the air mostly. There's a little bit of oxygen 18 in it. And when that forms with hydrogen, it's water. So you have heavier water and lighter weight water. The heavier weight water doesn't evaporate as easily. So when the ocean warms up, or whatever temperature it is, the ratio between the two changes according to the temperature of the ocean and the day it evaporated. So it comes over here, it rains, it runs down through there, makes formations. We drill into the formation and measure the oxygen 16 ratio and other things, uranium and all kinds of, from the University of California. And from that we can tell the exact day that molecule evaporated from the ocean, and therefore how old the formations are. And of course they have rings in. And they have sometimes dust, volcanic dust, which means that there's volcanoes. We can date it exactly. And there's this little thing called microdiamonds. When a meteor hits 12,000 years ago, 12,500, a meteor hit somewhere in the west here and spread the microdiamonds out. And the formations all have a little ring of microdiamonds.
Wow. From
that meteor impact. It must have been a Lulu. and it's interesting. That's about when the Ice Age ended.
I understand there were some corings done in the Arctic Circle, and they were able to go back a long time through many ice ages.
Yeah.
And they discovered something that they could test for CO2 content in the atmosphere and also temperature. And there was a correlation between the two.
Yeah, the temperature is the oxygen 16, 18 thing from evaporating water.
Yeah. Well, Al Gore, when he did his movie, he did something that was a little bit dishonest. He separated these little spikes of temperature and CO2 content, so that you could see that there's some relationship between the two. And he said, "Does anybody doubt that there's a relationship between the two?" Well, I think it was John Stossel that moved the two graphs together, and they found out that global warming preceded increases in CO2.
That's right.
Again and again and again and again. So,
and the reason for that is that when you keep beer cold, and soda pop, you keep it cold so it holds the CO2.
Right.
When the water or the beer warms up, it gives up the CO2. So when the Earth starts warming, for whatever reason, the CO2 comes bubbling out of the ocean.
And that's the
Just
reason.
like soda pop.
Yeah, so that's why the increase in CO2 follow global warming, not causing it.
Not the other way around, yeah.
And if there would be a trial and prosecution for lying to the public, deceiving the public, I think that a lot of our leaders would be in jail because Al Gore knew what that relationship was, but he deliberately deceived the viewers of that movie.
It's like our governor,
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're believers, they're believers regardless. But the data is not there. We're really stable right now. The sun comes up, it warms the earth up. When the sun goes down, it gets cold very quickly.
Right.
In fact, it gets cold before it hits the horizon. It gets chilly.
Yeah.
And it goes. It's a matter of how much sunlight you get on you, and that in the northern hemisphere, the sun goes south, it gets colder up here, and vice versa down there. But you can actually measure. I have a little meter. You can put it out there and measure the output of the sun, and it does vary.
Yeah.
It varies according to the sunspots.
Yeah.
More sunspots, it's really active, it's warmer. Sunspots disappear, and we know from history, they've been recording sunspots for centuries.
Right.
We know that those correlate with the temperature of the Earth. And it's the sun, folks.
And that's called science.
Yeah, that's numbers. Now, you have to actually make the mental connection that yes, this is working. It would explain all of the phenomena that we call global warming.
Right.
Why? Now, that doesn't mean something else isn't involved, but that's enough to do it. So it's probably not very much out there that is having any effect on it. But the politics, the money.
Oh, incredible.
Oh, man. The money handing going from hand. And they did this cap and trace thing again.
Yeah. And ideology is involved.
Yeah.
Changing our form of government to a socialist society requires something to motivate the people. You got to have some fear.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Fear mongering.
Now I understand in digging your caves, you found some human remains. Is that true?
Yeah. There's quite a few of them, and some of them, unfortunately, were removed by cavers who were given access to the cave a long time ago. And I was tracking them down and found one of the culprits. He had a big box of them in the garage, so I asked, and he died, and I asked the wife, and she said, we threw those out.
Oh, no.
That's what happens to private collections.
Oh, wow.
But we still have lots in there and still embedded in the formations. So we can tell the date of the formation above it and the date of the formation below it. We know exactly how that's been there.
What are those dates?
About 12,000, 13,000 years ago, although we have some that seem to be in the 30s and 40s. And there's some science involved there because you might get an exchange of older carbon in the mix. If you take something carbonate with a young carbonate and put it in old carbonate liquid, it could penetrate, but it won't be linear. It'll go like this. So if you measure it linearly and it's stable, that's real.
Now these are human bones?
Oh yeah, teeth hold up really well.
Huh. 12,000 years.
Yeah, 12. Actually, I think the oldest we've been able to really confirm is 14,000. It gets to the point where, and the problem is...
You find any tablets?
Not yet, no. That might happen over on Tabletop Mountain. That's a whole different thing because it's clearly, when you go to Tabletop Mountain, next to Moaning Cave there, or any of these, the miners, the gold was in the riverbeds.
Right.
I mean, the lava filled the riverbeds, and then everything eroded down this way, leaving the Tabletop Mountains, and the gold runs out from under.
Right.
So they went in under these things
Yeah.
into these riverbeds and found in the riverbeds things that were made by hands, grinding mortars, all kinds of stuff like that. It's like I've been able to locate 85 handmade objects that were removed from mines. Unfortunately, when you remove something, you can't date that rock because it could be a million-year-old rock, but it wasn't made a million years ago, right? You date the rock, it doesn't matter. What you want to do is date what's sticking to it, the riverbed. Yeah. And they don't. They always clean it up.
Oh.
Don't clean it. You find an artifact, don't clean it.
Yeah.
But there are some that have not been cleaned, and when they analyze them, it's pretty obvious that hundreds of thousands of years ago, certainly maybe 30 or 40,000, but there was something living there that had hands to make those things. Wow. Primates.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean there are ancestors. It doesn't mess around with evolution or anything like that. It's just, they were here and then they were gone. Maybe they wiped out by volcanic activity. We don't know. I mean, there's some serious stuff going on here.
When did the volcanoes go down at?
Millions of years.
Huh?
12, 13 million years. Something.
13 million years.
Yeah, I think so.
And then,
well, there were several different things. At that time, Nevada was higher than the Himalayas. Wow. And stuff was all running this way, and the Pacific Ocean was right here where San Andreas is, and all stuff going on. Lots of volcanism, and but in every place where the conditions are right, primates develop, and if it goes long enough and they get stressed enough, so that they have to be ingenious, they'll turn into something human. I think probably human-like creatures have been on this planet for probably millions of years. And they find footprints every once in a while in million-year-old mud. And, they say, well, it's humans. Well, it may not be our ancestors. It was something else because if you're going to evolve...
something similar.
Based on your environment, that's what you're going to turn into. Right. So they could have been perfectly, what we would consider perfectly normal people, because they evolved in the same world we did, just a lot earlier. But the resistance in the science community is to that sort of. The original problem was, this all happened around the turn, around 1850s, like that. I can't remember exactly. There were the Christians who claimed that the Earth was made 4,000 years ago. And there were scientists who said, no, probably much longer than that. They dug up these creatures, these things, and said, well, it proves that because God must have made these people too. And they couldn't be older than 4,000 years. And they've even gotten to the point, I've had some make an argument that, well, God just made it look old. But again, the problem is every time they would find a collector's item, they'd clean the damn thing. Excuse the language. And it's the dirt on it and the calcite sticking to it that's important, not the thing itself.
And that for dating purposes.
Because you can date that.
Well, one of the things that it looks like the business community is going to have to be more active than it is now. There's some organizations that are doing a good job in trying to hold back the level of regulation so we have a better economy. And I think some of them is the Pacific Legal Foundation. They've been doing lawsuits to protect people's property rights. And
that's good.
National Federation of Independent Business. Of course, Taxpayer Associations, and then the California Chamber, and then we have Calaveras County Chamber. We have a lot of organizations that really, if they had more support, could do a better job in turning back some of the unreasonable regulations.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah. How do we communicate to get the word out?
Television. It is a good question.
Yeah, Taxpayer TV.
I mean, these organizations that you mentioned, they do try to promote themselves to some extent. They send you letters all the time, and that's good.
Right.
And even if you're not a member, they send you information about it and hope that you'll give them some money.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is when they send you one of those letters, send it back with some money.
Yeah.
Because they are spending a lot of money, and it's all for our benefit.
Yeah.
The more money they get, the more freedom we get.
Right.
And freedom ain't free.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand the connection between freedom and prosperity.
Yeah.
They think freedom, they think that prosperity is just a government plan.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Let's say prosperity. The difference here would be a rabbit in a cage has prosperity because he's being fed. The rabbit out in the wild isn't being fed. He doesn't have the prosperity. It's all BS, yeah. The rabbit being fed has prosperity.
One of the things that is important is our Constitution. And it's been reinterpreted by the Supreme Court several ways that just change the meaning of what our government is and what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the checks and balances to prevent government expansion.
And California Constitution, too, yeah.
And the only thing that can be done probably is more education. I don't know what else.
Well, I think that goes back to these organizations. I mean, that's really what they're doing. They're defending that whole thing,
Right.
and they have to defend it in a logical way, and it's trickle down. When the government gets sued and lose, they stop and think, where did we go wrong? And how can we get around it? But I have my own bones to pick with government, but not local government. I think Calaveras County, we're doing great. We've got great supervisors.
We got good people. Yeah. I think this goes back to our schools to a certain extent. And when I went through school, I didn't learn very much about the Constitution. I learned later.
Yeah.
And so that's
dry, boring.
Yeah. Dead old people.
written in funny English.
Dead old men.
Yeah.
So we covered a little bit about global warming. We covered a little bit about our economy and the Constitution. And we did a little bit of discussion about Moaning Caverns. But you have other facilities besides that. But we're getting close to the end of our time, and we can't cover it all.
Well, there's California Caverns, and there's Black Chasm Cavern up in Amador County.
Okay.
And that'll cover you. But go to one of those, we'll tell you about the rest of them.
Well, that's good. And we want to see you prosperous, because if you're prosperous, our county's prosperous.
Hopefully.
And that's really the bottom line.
And I employ a lot of people, and that's an age group where they need the money and they're spending it for school. And
Right.
I have a list of 9 geologists who were at one time guides at Moaning Cave.
Really?
Yeah, and one judge and several. It's the ability to speak in public.
Such a pleasure to have you, Steve.
All righty.
Thank you for watching Taxpayer Alert.
You're